This 17-year-old went viral on TikTok following the loss of her parents. She gained a lot of sympathy for her posts, and months later, in a twisted turn of events, it seems like she was actually behind the unthinkable.
He doesn't know it, but a year from now, our family will be torn apart.
This post on social media may seem innocent and even draw some sympathy, but police say the dark reality is the video was created days after Georgia teen Sarah Grace Patrick is accused of shooting her mother and stepfather as they slept.
We've discussed some pretty horrific things when it comes to TikTok, and I feel like it's safe to say this might take the cake. So today we're talking about Sarah Grace Patrick, a 17-year-old girl who's been charged with allegedly taking the life of her mother and her stepfather after spending months posting videos of her mourning online, and then even going as far as contacting true crime influencers to investigate the deaths.
On the morning of February 20th, 2025, deputies with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office responded to a tragic scene. They discovered the bodies of James Brock, 45, and Kristen Brock, 41, both deceased from apparent gunshot wounds. Today, we can confirm that an arrest has been made in the case. Kristen Brock's 17-year-old daughter, Sarah Grace Patrick, has been taken into custody and charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault.
If she's actually found guilty here, this might be the most outrageous attention-seeking behavior that I've ever covered here on this channel. But the story starts the night of February 20th, 2025, in a quiet Carroll country home. 41-year-old Kristen Brock and 45-year-old James Brock had their lives tragically taken while they were sleeping. And to make things worse, it was their 5-year-old daughter who found them the next morning. Then the person who called 911 was none other than 16-year-old at the time, Sarah Grace Patrick. And right after this happened, she started uploading TikToks, videos of her crying, writing captions like, "Please send prayers and healing," and "She should be here and so should he." Honestly, just the exact stuff that someone grieving would post on social media. Then on top of that, she also posted collages of her parents, wrote about feeling so homesick, and shared how it was hard to move on. And another caption reads, "They don't know it yet, but a year from now, me and my 5-year-old sister would find them gone in our home, and they won't get to watch me graduate high school, see me walk down the aisle, and couldn't even say goodbye." If she really did it, that video of her crying like that is actually psychotic. As of today, her account has been removed by TikTok, but pre-arrest, as you can see, she was really milking the attention from this story. But the part of the story that really sickens me is the fact that she gave this like tearful eulogy at her mother's funeral. Like, how do you go through with that after what you allegedly did? Like, this wasn't just some personal grieving. She was actively shaping a narrative online when no one even suspected her. But apparently, to further shape this narrative, she reached out to a true crime TikTok account called Allegedly Reportedly and asked them to cover the case.
Why would you ask me to cover a case where you are going to get arrested for taking your parents' lives? Y'all, this is Sarah Grace, and she messaged me back on June 3rd and just said, "Search up Brock case." So I said, "Brock Turner? Brock who?" She said, "Kristen and James Brock. They're my parents." And out of nowhere, a random Thursday night in February, someone came in my house with me and my 5-year-old sister, and my parents left them for me and my little sister to wake up to. And I said, not knowing she was going to wind up arrested for this, "I am so sorry. I cannot imagine. I will absolutely research and cover their case. Please take care of you always." Again, not knowing, and I covered it.
I mean, this is just seriously messed up. Like, I know that lady is in the shock of her life, because what even is this? Like, imagine being this true crime enthusiast covering the case just to find out the poor girl who messaged you about her parents passing away was the one who allegedly did it. But apparently this false narrative may have become too much for her, because on July 8th, Sarah Grace Patrick, after months of attention seeking and faking every emotion that left her body, turned herself into authorities after being made aware of active warrants against her. She is now facing 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault. Because she's 16, she will actually be tried as an adult under Georgia law. That's an important detail to remember, because once a minor is charged with a serious felony like murder in Georgia, prosecutors can pursue the case in adult criminal court. And the penalties in adult court are, as you can imagine, significantly worse. But let us break this down a little bit. So malice degree murder in Georgia is essentially the same thing as a first degree murder in any other state. It means the prosecution believes the killings were intentional and premeditated. There doesn't need to be a clear motive, but they do need to show that the killings weren't accidental or committed in the heat of the moment. If Sarah is convicted on this charge alone, she faces life in prison. And because she's being charged as an adult, it could be without the possibility of parole as well. The police said they also have digital evidence. That could be emails, text communications, or so on if she's been messaging about her parents or home situation before the murder. That easily can show intent. The second-degree murder charge could also be felony murder, which in Georgia means a person was responsible for someone else's death while committing another felony. In this case, possibly aggravated assault. Even if the jury somehow believes that she didn't plan the killings, the felony murder charge can still lead to a life sentence just based on her participation in a violent crime that resulted in a death. Aggravated assault is a felony charge involving an attack with the intent to take life, especially if a weapon is used. So since a firearm was involved and both victims were asleep, these assault charges aren't just minor add-ons. Each count carries a potential sentence of up to 20 years in prison, and judges in Georgia can stack these sentences, meaning those years would be added on to addition of a potential life sentence. So what does all this mean? Well, if convicted of even one of the murder charges, Sarah Grace Patrick could spend the rest of her life behind bars. No parole, no early release, no TikTok sympathy. And if the court hands down consecutive sentences for the aggravated assaults, that time would be added on top of the life sentence, effectively locking her away forever. I mean, it's hard to, add to the life, but I mean, hey, it is what it is, I guess. But investigators, they say the case is far from simple. The Carroll County Communications Director, Ashley Hudson, said, "We don't know what goes through the mind of a child who wants to harm their parents." She's 17, she's kind of been out on her own, she's lived with different family members and moved all over the place. Apparently, they're not ruling out the possibility that more people could be involved, but they're clear on one thing: they believe that she pulled the trigger.
The pursuit of justice does not end today, however. It is very possible, because this remains an open and ongoing investigation, that more arrests and charges could be made. But she has been arrested and charged now, and we feel confident that she is responsible for their murders. But like I said, it is an open, ongoing investigation. It's very possible others are involved as well.
So how does a teenage girl go from grieving daughter to prime suspect? That's what makes this whole story so insane. So her own grandfather, Dennis Nolan, said, "I've always liked Sarah. She was just the ideal child. She had just graduated from high school. She was very proud of that. She was working 2 jobs and she was doing very well." And when asked if he believed she did it, he responded, no. The best way they could tell me was the evidence says that she's the only one who could have possibly done it. That says to me there's no real evidence that says she did do it. But that doesn't explain everything. Sarah reportedly told family friend Kelly Brown that she didn't hear anything that night, except for one sound. She did hear James's LVAD machine, which is a heart machine that kept his heart pumping. She did hear that alarm going off throughout the night. In a TikTok comment, Sarah added that she heard it for about 10 to 20 minutes before going to bed, but brushed it off as background noise. And another noteworthy thing to mention is on the day she handed herself in, she was accompanied by her biological father. So you could just imagine the thoughts running through this guy's head, knowing that there's a possibility that his daughter ended the life of her own mother and of course her partner. So let's stop and think about this for a second. Like, if she really did it, if she really took the lives while they were sleeping and then left her 5-year-old sister at that house, allowed her to find the bodies of her own parents, and then called 911 pretending to discover them too, then went to TikTok for sympathy, played on the attention she received, and posted consistently for months after, this just raises one of the darkest questions. Was this nightmare nothing more than like a desperate cry for attention? Could she have committed this crime to launch some extremely disgusting, calculated campaign to get sympathy and internet fame? Like the messages, the eulogy, the posts, the influencer outreach, it just doesn't feel like grief. It feels like the building blocks of an extremely messed up online brand. And obviously, as this case heads to trial, we'll likely learn way more about what the police found. But for now, we're left with one of the most chilling possibilities of all: that a teenager may have ended the lives of her parents, just become this like main character in a morbid sob story. But this will definitely be a long investigation and trial, so we'll see how this ends up playing out. But in a less serious case, this guy is being sued for potentially millions of dollars by In-N-Out for a prank. And it is just an absolutely wild story I would recommend checking out here. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe, drop a like on this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.